Welcome back, guys, to another ILW Pod video, and today me and Mason are here to give you another fantasy booking, and today it'll be what if Samoa Joe returned to the WWE in 2026.
Alright guys, going straight into Monday Night Raw before Elimination Chamber. It's going to be a qualifying match for the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber. It's a huge mystery opponent. Nobody knows who it's going to be, nobody knows who it's going to be against El Grande Americano and Rusev. El Grande Americano and Rusev are already in the ring. They're awaiting who their mystery opponent's going to be. Camera shoots over to Michael Cole. Michael Cole's wondering himself. And Samoa Joe's music hits. Michael Cole's jumping out of his seat. He's like, oh my God. The return of the Samoan submission machine. He's back and he's ready to harm anybody in his way. We get into the match. Joe comes out, enters the ring, hits a massive Samoan drop on El Grande Americano, and stares down Rusev face to face. After a hard-hitting bout, Joe wins by hitting a muscle buster and locks in the patented Coquina clutch to put Rusev to sleep.
All right, guys, and we are here at our Elimination Chamber. We are here in Chicago, Illinois, all right, and we are in the main event. World Championship Elimination Chamber. CM Punk defends his title against 5 other men. And these other 5 men along CM Punk is Samoa Joe, of course. We have Finn Balor. We have Roman Reigns, Braun Breaker, and Rey Mysterio all in one chamber. And we start off the match where Punk hits a clean and quick GTS onto Rey Mysterio to eliminate him immediately. And then, after a little bit more, everybody starts to come out. And Roman eliminates Finn Balor after a missed coup de grace into a spear and guillotine to make him go to sleep. Alright. And then later, as Finn Balor is leaving the cage, the Vision come in. They run in that ring and they beat down on Roman Reigns. And they allow Braun Breaker to spear and eliminate Roman from the match. And then Joe eliminates Braun Breaker after 2 muscle busters. And then, surprising out of nowhere, after Joe's put in work and he's tired, CM Punk rolls him up to barely escape with the win and retain his World Heavyweight Championship.
Alright, start of Raw after Elimination Chamber. Joe gets out of his car, walking through the parking lot to the ring. His music hits, storms down to the ring, and is mad like he usually is. No look on his face, pissed off demeanor. Gets into the ring, and immediately calls out the best in the world, CM Punk, who beat him at Chamber 2 nights before to retain the World Heavyweight title. And he brings up their past in AEW, their history between one another and everything like that. And Punk says, since you want to bring up our past between each other in AEW, I'm going to bring up someone from your past specifically.
Alright, and we go to the next week because CM Punk was talking about he doesn't know and he wants it to be somebody that Joe's going to remember for a while. And as Joe and Punk are in the ring the next week, they're waiting on this man that Punk is talking about. And the phenomenal AJ Styles comes out to the ring. And after a back and forth promo between Punk, Joe, and Styles, they all end up coming to the agreement to set up a number 1 contenders match on the next week for the World Heavyweight Championship. AJ Styles versus the Samoan Submission Machine.
Alright, Raw is here. AJ versus Samoa Joe, number 1 contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Joe and Styles are fighting back and forth. A lot of callbacks to their matches and history in TNA. Joe and AJ go out to the apron. They're fighting, punching back and forth. Then Joe picks up Styles for a devastating muscle buster on the apron. He stays on the apron while AJ falls to the outside. Joe's resting in the ring. AJ climbs back up to the apron, leaps, hits a phenomenal forearm, pins Joe to get the 1, 2, 3.
Alright, it is the Raw before WrestleMania 42, the go-home show. Alright, and there is a contract signing in the ring between AJ Styles and CM Punk for WrestleMania 42. And they are getting ready to sign, But Samoa Joe comes out from the crowd. He gets in the ring, beats both men, all right. Muscle Buster there and here, puts CM Punk in the sleeper, puts him to sleep, and then he walks over to Adam Pearce, and he grabs him by the collar, and he's smacking him around. He threatens to put him in the sleeper, and he says, either I will put you to sleep, or you put me in the main event of WrestleMania 42 with those two in a triple threat. And Adam Pearce has nothing to do besides agree. He can't do anything else because it's his safety at the end of the day. Alright, so at WrestleMania 42, after Joe signs the contract, it is a triple threat between AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and CM Punk.
WrestleMania 42 Night 1 is here. Main event, star-studded, hard-hitting triple threat coming your way, guys. Joe versus Punk versus Styles for the World Heavyweight title. Match starts, all three of them, Punk and Styles specifically, brawling on the outside near the timekeeper's area. Joe sprints through, spears CM Punk through the barricade. Styles hits a Styles clash after Joe gets up from putting Punk through the barricade to Joe on the outside. Joe hits a muscle buster on CM Punk devastatingly through the announce table. And then Styles rose up Joe in the ring in order to get the win and gain the World Heavyweight Championship.
We are at the Raw right after WrestleMania 42, and it was not even 24 hours ago where AJ Styles pulled off the impossible and won his World Heavyweight Championship, alright? And Joe's out there in the ring, he's calling out AJ Styles. He's mad, he's just outright, alright? And after Styles comes out, and he's like, listen, you're not going to get another chance. I've already beat you twice. I've pinned you twice. And Joe says, fine, I will earn it after I put Wendy to sleep. And I ain't talking about this type of wrestling, alright? And as soon as that happens, AJ Styles hits him with the title. He's mad, and he storms out and leaves.
Raw is here to open the show. The match graphics up on the screen. It's going to be a 5-man gauntlet for a number one contender spot. Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor versus Bronson Reed versus Penta and LA Knight. Match starts. All 5 men are brawling in the ring. A little bit later on, Joe eliminates Finn with 2 muscle busters. Then, a little bit farther on into the match, Joe eliminates Reed by a countout after a German suplex onto the apron. Joe eliminates Penta a little while later on again after a muscle buster off the top rope, which was insane. And then for Joe to finally win the gauntlet, he puts LA Knight to sleep.
All right, and we are here at Backlash. It is Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship in a submission match, all right? And we go, and it's Joe. He starts off the match with countlessly just beating down on AJ Styles, the size difference, all right? And he's just taking him. He takes him backstage even, and they're fighting backstage, and they have a bunch of crazy spots. Joe jumps off the top of crates onto AJ Styles. He's just doing all this crazy stuff to take down the Phenomenal One. They get back in the ring, and as soon as they get back in the ring, AJ Styles hits a phenomenal forearm and a Styles Clash combo to put and then lock in the calf crusher on Samoa Joe, makes Joe tap, and that is the end of that match.
After Backlash, interesting turn of events for WWE. They do the WWE draft not after WrestleMania, but after Backlash. And Samoa Joe is shockingly drafted to SmackDown with the 3rd round overall pick for SmackDown. And his first match on SmackDown, he comes out to challenge Ilya Dragunov for the United States title. Ilya uses his fast Mad Dragon offense that everybody knows him for. Strikes, lariats, chops. Everyone knows what all that's about. And then it's cut short after a series of lariats by the Samoan Submission Machine. And then he hits a muscle buster on the apron and wins, and puts him back into the ring for a close fall. Joe puts Ilya to sleep eventually and gains the United States title on SmackDown.
All right. And we go to the next SmackDown, all right? And Joe is standing in the ring. He's opening this show with a promo talking about how there ain't no more open challenge, all right? I'm sick and tired of everybody thinking they can just get an opportunity when they want to. If you want some from me, you got to earn it, all right? And he just talks about his future with the U.S. Championship, what he plans to do. And he announces that he will be entering a Money in the Bank qualifier match to go to the men's Money in the Bank match. And we are going to go straight into the next week.
Money in the Bank is here. Star-studded Money in the Bank ladder match. Samoa Joe, Matt Cardona, Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul, Penta, and Sheamus. Match starts off with Sheamus and Penta taking themselves out respectively after both going through ladder bridges. And then Cody hits a Cody cutter off the top of the ladder onto Matt Cardona. Paul comes in, hits a buckshot lariat on Cody Rhodes. Logan Paul, and then it cuts to Logan Paul and Samoa Joe brawling on top of the ladder. Samoa Joe turns Logan Paul around, puts him in the coquina clutch. Logan Paul fades to sleep, falls off, and Joe pulls down the coveted Money in the Bank briefcase.
All right. And we are at that SmackDown right after Money in the Bank, and Joe's music hits. He comes out, and he's holding the Money in the Bank briefcase in the U.S. Championship. All right. And as he's celebrating, he's talking about how he's on the top of the world. He has a championship opportunity in the palm of his hands. He's already U.S. champ. What else more could he ask for? But then the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, cuts him off immediately. And Cody wants a U.S. title match next week. And as he calls Samoa Joe a coward, and Samoa Joe says, fine, you get your match next week on SmackDown.
SmackDown, Joe versus Cody for the coveted U.S. title. Match opens. Samoa Joe's using his strength, size advantage over Cody. Lariats, Samoan drops, throws, slams, everything. Cody rolls to the outside, manages to catch his breath, slides back in under the bottom rope, dodges under a clothesline attempt from Samoa Joe, hits a surprise Cody cutter onto Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe later eventually gets Cody in the sleeper hold, puts him to sleep to retain the U.S. title.
All right, and we are at that SmackDown right before SummerSlam. All right, and Joe, he's looking for an opponent at SummerSlam, so he's gonna announce a number one contenders match. All right, it'll be a fatal five-way for the for the number one contendership of the U.S. Championship. All right, and it is Matt Cardona versus Ilya Dragunov versus Sami Zayn versus Rey Fenix and Johnny Gargano. And after a crazy fatal five-way match, Rey Fenix does pick up the win, and Joe comes out and has a face-off, holds the title above his head, and they are ready for SummerSlam.
SummerSlam is here. It's Rey Fenix against Samoa Joe for the U.S. title. Everyone's hyped up for this match. They've been hyping it up throughout the week. Match starts with Joe trying to put Rey Fenix in the sleeper hold, but Fenix surprisingly counters with a schoolboy roll-up to steal the win and steal the U.S. Championship away from Samoa Joe.
All right, but we are in the main event of SummerSlam, all right? AJ Styles is celebrating after he just won a grueling match against Brock Lesnar, all right? And Brock Lesnar retired. It was his retirement match. And AJ Styles just went through a battle. He went through hell to beat that man after multiple F5s and F5s. And as Brock's leaving, he picks AJ Styles up one more time and delivers one more F5. And after he leaves, it kind of goes silent for a minute. And Samoa Joe's music hits. He runs down to the ring, picks him up, some muscle buster on the briefcase, cashes it in. 1, 2, 3. Samoa Joe is your new World Heavyweight Champion.
Joe pulls up. We're at the Raw after SummerSlam. Joe pulls up to the parking lot. World Heavyweight title on his shoulder. Joe is draped out in gold. Joe walks out from the parking lot to open up Monday Night Raw. He's celebrating that he won the World Heavyweight title. But AJ Styles comes out and says, no. I'm putting a stop to all this right now. Styles is pissed. He's mad because he got beat up by Brock Lesnar after post-match assault. and he didn't really have enough time to defend himself and everything like that, get enough breather before Joe came out and cashed in. And he wants a rematch at Bad Blood, and Joe, being the heel champion in this scenario, goes, no, get to the back of the line. You got to earn it. Styles says, all right, you want me to earn it? I'll earn it next week.
All right, and we are at next week. It is Styles versus Punk versus Logan Paul for a number one contender shot at Bad Blood. All right, we will see who goes to face Samoa Joe. And after another crazy triple threat, it is AJ Styles that does come out victorious after hitting a Styles Clash onto Logan Paul to pick up the victory. Joe comes out and he announces a contract signing next week for Bad Blood. All right, and he says, AJ, since you earned this match, I'm going to say there's one more thing. You will have to put your career on the line against me at Bad Blood, and I will see you there.
Raw is here, middle of the show, contract signing is going down in the ring for the coveted World Heavyweight Championship. Styles and Joe, they're throwing their insults, bashes back and forth at one another. Contract signing gets put down on the table, and then Joe, not telling AJ what the thing is, the theme of this match will be, because he's a heel, he's not going to tell anybody that. He tells AJ that it's going to be Hell in a Cell career versus career match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then both sign the contract. That's it.
All right, we are here at Bad Blood, career versus career for the World Heavyweight Championship in a Hell in a Cell. All right, these two men have so much history. These two men have so much on the line, and there's so much at stake. All right, either we see the end of a career of such a beloved wrestler, all right, the phenomenal one, or we see it of this badass, the Samoan submission machine, all right, and we get right into it. And Joe immediately takes down Styles, and he starts using weapons like chairs and kendo sticks. Puts him through a table or two, alright? But Styles counters back, and he busts Samoa Joe open with a barbed wire 2x4 that he pulled from out beneath the ring. And then, also, Joe takes down Styles after he hits him with a muscle buster on the stairs, and then he puts him in the sleeper to almost kind of get the win. Styles does escape after a low blow, and then they take this to the outside of the cell. They break through. Samoa Joe does get AJ Styles for a muscle buster through the announce table. He rolls him back in the ring, picks him up, sleeper, puts him to sleep for the win, and that is the end of AJ Styles' career. He lifts his world title up, puts a foot on him, holds it, leaves, and then we get the warm, wholesome goodbye from the fans to AJ Styles, and we go straight into the next Monday or Night Raw after Bad Blood.
We're on Raw after Bad Blood, a sad night because AJ Styles just had to retire. His career is over after an outstanding, incredible, crazy match against Samoa Joe inside Hell in a Cell. But Joe comes out and he's not here to reminisce about the absolute crazy match that he just had. He's out here to brag in typical heel fashion that he retired perhaps maybe one of the greats of WWE in the phenomenal AJ Styles. He's like, oh, I retired him, yada, yada, yada. Gunther then comes out and says, you retired AJ Styles? I retired the GOAT, John Cena, making him tap out like a little you-know-what. Joe starts backing into the corner, his arms draped on the turnbuckle, holding his title. He's sitting there laughing, giggling, walks back out to Gunther, and then hits him with a title shot, knocking Gunther down. Joe leaves.
All right, we are on the next Raw, and Gunther wants his match at Survivor Series. He's telling him, I deserve it. You only tapped out a nobody that I've already beat in my time. I don't gotta earn a title shot. I deserve it. I demand it. I have tapped out Goldberg. I've tapped out John Cena. I've pinned AJ Styles, which something you could barely even get done at this stage in your career. I am better than you, and I will tap your ass out too, alright? And Joe says, you know what? Fine. I accept your challenge. I will see you at SummerSlam. All right, and I'm going to put you to sleep too.
Survivor Series is here. Match has been hyped up all week. Gunther versus Samoa Joe, two of perhaps the biggest forces that WWE has to reckon with and deal with. A lot of hard-hitting moves that go back and forth open up the match, and that it leads to Gunther throwing Joe to the outside and hitting him with a devastating powerbomb through the announcer table. Joe fights his way back into the advantage, hits two devastating muscle busters in the ring to Gunther, but it's a near fall. And then Gunther ends up putting Samoa Joe to sleep to gain the World Heavyweight title. Michael Cole's going crazy. He didn't think that Gunther had it in him to beat Samoa Joe at a high level like this. And it's found out after post-match x-rays, Samoa Joe ended up injuring his calf in that match, and he's going to be out for a certain number of months. No one will know quite how many months yet.
All right, and we are here after a long hiatus of Joe. He injured his calf. It was very sad. But we are here at the Raw after the Elimination Chamber, all right? And Gunther's out there. He's celebrating. He's still world champion after all this time. And Samoa Joe comes out, and he's like, you injured me. You shortened my time. And now I have to do something that I did not want to do. I have to take you out permanently. All right? And Joe just wants this shot. But Gunther says, no, I have no interest in taking you. I've already put you to sleep in front of the whole world. All right? So you get to the back of the line. All right? And we are here at the next Raw.
Raw doesn't even get a chance to start. No show intro, no pyro, no nothing. Gunther's already standing in the ring, making fun of Joe as he does with all of the opponents that he's beaten in the past, mocking him, saying, oh, he's a little baby, I'm stronger, I'm better, whatever. And then Joe, through the crowd, sneak attacks him, hits a muscle buster on Gunther, and then puts the World Heavyweight Champion to sleep to close out Monday Night Raw.
All right. And now we are at the Raw before WrestleMania 43, all right? And Gunther comes out, he says, you know what? You want to attack me from behind? You want to put me to sleep when I'm not looking? Fine. I will give you your one and last opportunity to put me to sleep at WrestleMania, all right? And right before Gunther could leave, all right, Joe grabs him and he lays him out with two more muscle busters, hold the title above his head, and he points at the WrestleMania sign.
WrestleMania is here. It's been hyped up all throughout the week. People have been making sure they've got their tickets for this monstrous main event of Night 1 in WrestleMania 43 in the beautiful city of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's been all over the news. WWE themselves have been hyping this matchup. And it starts with Gunther and Samoa Joe fighting, hard-hitting punches back and forth outside the ring. Gunther is thrown, speared, if you will, through the barricade by Samoa Joe. Gunther hits an avalanche powerbomb after they get back into the ring for a close 2.999, if you will, as Michael Cole likes to say it. And then Joe makes Gunther tap out in front of the millions and millions, thousands and thousands of people in Riyadh to regain the coveted World Heavyweight Championship.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching another great fantasy booking. Me, Mason, again, what if Samoa Joe came back in the WWE in 2026? Thank you guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Questions, concerns, leave them down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.
Peace out, guys.